Our final speaker was actually the winner of the student speaker contest, and he graduates in May. And upon graduation, he's going to follow his dream and go for a career in music. So please welcome Benjamin Butler. Did I get that right? Okay.
Yeah. Check. Okay, cool. All right, well, first off, I want to say this is really a great honor and a privilege to be able to talk here. Second off, we're going to lay a couple ground rules. One, I've never really spoke like this, so when I mess up, just forgive me. Two, I'm really restless, so I'm probably going to run back and forth, so sorry to the camera people. Apologize. And third off, they said try to make this conversational and not like just talk at people. So if we had time to do this for everyone, I would, but I don't know you, so what's your name?
Angela Fleming-Seals.
Okay, Ben Hofling, nice to meet you. All right, so now that we know who each other is, we can get rolling. So I guess the way to start any story about anyone's life is being born. So I was born at a very, very young age in Montgomery, Alabama, and I spent a lot of days coming up to Auburn, especially Saturdays for football games. And I have this really like adventurous spirit, and Montgomery's only 45 minutes away, so I swore I'd never come here. And that's not really the way you want to start off when you're about to brag about Auburn. But I eventually worked out for me to go to Auburn, and I knew I would like it, but I never thought I'd fall in love. And I really did. However, as some of y'all probably know, to love something, often you have to go through a hard time with it to love it. And as you'll see, hard times came really quickly for me at Auburn. About 5 weeks into school, it was the weekend of the Clemson game. I had been dating a girl for about 2 years. Her name was Virginia. I think we got a picture. And so about 5 weeks into school, it was the night of the Clemson game, and she was heading home back to Montgomery, and she was killed in a car wreck. And obviously, my life like stopped on a dime, and like I didn't know really what to think, what to do. And just really like, I don't know, I just really questioned why I did everything. I remember specifically one day walking through the village dorms and just being like, why am I going to class? Why am I doing homework? Because none of that really seemed to matter at the time. Little did I know a passion that I had had from a very, very young age would be one of the things that helped me come out of it. So as you can hear from Jody and by the guitar on stage, that passion is music. My parents said that before I could talk, I was singing syllables in my crib. At 5 years old, I started playing the piano. And at 11 years old, I told my mom, I said, hey, I really want to play guitar. And she said, why? And I said, because the chicks dig it, obviously. So I started playing guitar. And so if we fast forward back to September of 2010, it was my freshman year, right after this happened, I found myself trying to just not think about it and just try to move on and just not really deal with the pain. So I found myself running to my guitar just to play and just to ignore all the pain and all the hurt. Then I realized, at some point I've got to face this. And so I started delving into a part of music that I'd never really experimented with, which was songwriting. And so I started writing songs, and most of them obviously were about Virginia, and I was getting my thoughts and my emotions and everything out in my music, and started to experience healing through that, which was really strange because I never thought that healing would come from playing a guitar. However, I never looked at songwriting as a career until later that summer. Auburn University gave me the great opportunity to go to South Alabama and study marine biology for a summer. And unfortunately, quickly I learned that that's not what I wanted to do. And I was like, I love fish and I love the beach, but I don't want to sit in a lab because I figured out it was a lot more of that than scuba diving like I thought. So I called my dad up and I said, Dad, I don't want to do this. And he was like, okay, well, what are you passionate about? And I was like, music. And he was like, okay, well, a concerned parent says, well, what else? Because that doesn't make money, obviously. And I said, I don't have anything. So he was like, okay, well, let's give this a shot. So from then I came back to Auburn. I started playing around the city a lot. I started playing in some UPC events. They have open mics and songwriter showcases. I started playing in there. And then actually the next 2 summers I moved to Nashville to pursue my dream and started writing with people up there and playing out a lot and stuff. And so I really started to just delve into songwriting. And sorry, I'm going to be honest. I have my notes right on the side of the podium, so I'm just going to take a quick look. So at Auburn, I learned that, another thing that I learned while I was at Auburn, is that I watched a lot of organizations, and I watched how they would give back to people, whether it was sororities, fraternities, just different clubs, and how they always gave back. And so I've always known that that's what I was supposed to do, but it really hit me that, like, I shouldn't just use my talents for myself, and I really should try to find ways to use what I've been given for other people. So I started working with other Auburn students, and we've done various events to help people. We had an event out in Lochapoka, and we raised money for a lady who had cancer and couldn't work, and we helped pay for her rent, which was really cool. And then another fellow Auburn student and I did a tour where all the proceeds to it went to feeding and clothing the homeless in Nashville, which was a really cool experience as well. So it's just been really crazy to watch how just playing the guitar and writing songs and stuff has been able to allow me to just really help other people, and I never really saw that coming. So as for where I am right now, I'm 65 days away from graduation, not that I'm counting, and so you think it'd be time like to grow up, get a big boy job, and make money and leave the guitar at home and play it occasionally. That's not happening. We got a picture coming up in a second. After school in July, I'm starting a tour, and this green line right here is my tour route. I'll be going from Calais, Maine to Key West, and I'll be playing shows. The one slight kicker is that I'm walking the whole way, so it's probably going to take me about a year. And it's really crazy, but when you dream stuff and you follow those dreams, as cheesy as that sounds, you're going to think of really crazy stuff. And I think I'm just about a little bit enough insane to make this happen. So that's what I'm doing after school, and I'm really excited about it. So I guess we can take that picture down. The 3 lessons that Auburn has really taught me are, 1, to lean on other people. If I didn't have my family and my friends here at Auburn, I wouldn't have made it through the time that I did. So I'm really moving forward with that, and just knowing that this dream of music and how crazy it is, I can't do this on my own. The second thing it's taught me is to look out for other people and to care for people besides myself. I've started, obviously I told you about the tour we did, giving to the homeless, but I've said that for the rest of my career, at least 10% of everything I make I'm giving away. So that's what I'm doing with this tour. And so I really want to give the credit to Auburn for a lot of that happening. And the third lesson I've learned, and it's the one that I really want to get across, and it's going to sound really corny, but that's just follow your dreams. I know it sounds like I'm like working for Disney or something, but that's so true, because when you follow your dreams, you're going to work harder, just naturally, because you enjoy what you do. You're going to live with so much less regret, because you're going to know that you did in life what you're actually passionate about. And that's one of the things that I've learned through this process of planning this tour, as I've talked to a bunch of people about it. And older people especially will be like, well, that really reminds me of the time that I was going to hike the Appalachian Trail, or I was going to sail around the world, or I was going to do all these crazy stuff. And it almost always ends with, but I didn't do it. And the sentence that haunts me that they say every single time is, I regret it. And I'm not willing to let that happen to me. I don't want to be 65 and say, I had this really cool dream to walk across the country, and then I just didn't do it. And a quote, I'm going to read you all a quote that's really just pushed me through this whole process. But I really want to read it word for word, because Teddy Roosevelt is a lot smarter than me. So, this is what he says. He says, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want anyone to ever be able to look at my life and say that I'm one of those cold and timid souls. I want to be someone who lived all out. So if you're a student in here, you've got plenty of time. Don't rush into the world and try to make a ton of money and get a house and get a wife and get kids and all that. Just really focus on where your talents are and where your passions are, and go for it. Give it a shot. And for those of you that may be a little bit past school, you still have your talents, you still have your passions. Find a way to use them. There's a way. Obviously I don't know all your situations, but there's a way you can use them. So about this crazy journey of songwriting and walking across the country, am I scared? Absolutely. I'm freaked out. I could get hurt. I could get bugged. It's weird, but it's true. People might hate my music. But the thing I've kind of realized through this whole process is that if I live out of fear, there's so many things in this life that I'm going to miss out on if I let fear dictate my every move. So I'm going to go for it, and I hope in your own way that you can too. Thank you.